outgrow. I was traveling back on the metro that evening, watching everyone fold into their own worlds. Some stared at their screens as if the globe was a destination. Some kept their phone pressed to their ear, carrying entire conversations without moving more than an inch. A few chose to stand even though empty seats waited beside them, as if sitting would mean settling. The coach felt quiet in an organized way, almost like everyone had silently agreed to share the space without interfering with it. I kept looking outside the window, letting the colors in the sky move in gentle layers. My phone was dying, so I stopped checking it, and for the first time in that day, I had nothing to distract me from the feeling that surfaced. An old friend had texted earlier, a friend who once knew everything about my life, and now only gets fragments. We used to speak the same language. Now we exchange occasional updates. Even occasion feels generous. I have not been able to articulate this feeling before, but over time, I've come to realize that we move on far earlier than the moment we admit it to ourselves. That drift does not begin when someone leaves a city or stops replying. It starts when closeness is still there, but your life has already begun to change shape around it. When you think everything is the same because you want it to be the same, but something inside you has already shifted. No one talks about this part. The part where you're still laughing with your friend, still sharing stories, still meeting at the same corner, but something in you has already stepped forward. Just a little. A tiny moment the other person does not see. The kind of moment you only recognize years later. Not in a dramatic way, but in the most ordinary way possible. It's not betrayal, not neglect. It is simply that our lives are always in motion, and we rarely realize when a chapter has begun to turn. The metro coach kept moving even though no one was looking outside the window. We were all carried forward without noticing the journey, and that is exactly how we grow out of friendships too. By continuing without meaning to. The closeness that once felt like a given became something we had to reach for, and reaching became harder when life keeps pulling us forward. The funny thing is that real loss is not when you realize you drifted. The real loss is that you didn't notice it while it was happening. That is the part we never think about. Not the distance, but the blindness. You wake up one day and realize that you have already moved on from a version of your life you never thought you would outgrow. A group of friends, a familiar street, a dream. And the shift happens quietly, without a farewell. It makes you feel like you were careless about the things that mattered. But it's not carelessness, it's a kind of instinct. Humans are built to keep moving. We're always adjusting ourselves to fit the present. And when something stops fitting, even gently, we loosen our hold without announcing it. Maybe that is why the past hits us hardest not when it ends, but when we suddenly remember how much space it once occupied. A memory arrives and suddenly you realize you have lived an entire life between now and then. But drifting does not erase what was real. It only changes the direction of the warmth. Love does not have to stay active to stay meaningful. Friendship does not have to look the same to still matter. Some connections do not travel with you, but they live in you, like a foundation you forget you were standing on. As the metro neared my stop, I watched the sky again. The colors had shifted. The city kept moving whether or not I paid attention. And I thought about how friendship often worked the same way. They move, we move, sometimes in the same direction, sometimes not. The important part is not to hold on until your hands hurt. The important part is to notice what shaped you before you move forward. So the next time you think of your friend you no longer speak too often, let the thought be a reminder that something once belonged to you in a very real way. Let it be a reminder that you grew because of them, even if your lives no longer overlap. Ask yourself not why you drifted, but what stayed with you even after you did. Because moving on is inevitable, but forgetting is not. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.